questions. This is a big one where you have to know what you have and how to interpret the question. Okay, so let's just start with what you've already done and say we have a position function. Okay, so this is a position function of something, some particle, called a particle motion problem. If I said calculate the average velocity from t equals 0 to t equals 5. Given the list we just went through, what would you do? Not F. F is not here. This is a problem that's on the test. There you go. The function is S, so be careful about labeling them right. It's a slope question or average rate of change, right? Because we're given position, you're asked for average rate of change. 15 over 5. Correct me if I'm wrong there. Okay, again. The response? Full choice. I know you can divide 15 divided by 5, but you don't need to. And trust me when I say when you're 3 hours into a calc exam, 15 divided by 5 can become hard. It's your AP exam is over 3 hours long.
Is it in the morning?
It is.
It's in the morning.
I think it's 3 hours and 15 minutes. Okay, so when I give you advice on not doing more work than necessary, please listen to that, because you don't need to use brain power to do that. Besides the fact that you might say, well, that's 10. No, that's 15 minus 5. Okay, so just be careful. All right, let's compare that to, what's the velocity function here? Right? Because you derive that?
Yeah.
Again, another way to ask how to calculate a derivative. Now I'm going to ask you the same question. Calculate average velocity from t equals 0 to t equals 5. That's it's not a 5. It's like an ugly 6. Same question, right? But you're not given. So most people misinterpret this initially and just do the slope formula because it says average velocity. But you have to be careful because you're given the velocity function. So we have to use the average value of the function. Because that matches that. Makes sense? That average value is that formula right there. Do you have a memory card for this? Did you make one already?
I don't know.
So simply putting this tag in front of the integral makes this an average value calculation. Okay. So in this problem, what would these numbers be? 5 minus 0. You just start in the beginning. 5.
Oh, that's great.
What's the antiderivative of t minus 2?
T squared minus 2, or 2t.
Okay. A lot of people are doing this. Bad, that's a no-no. You have already, since you calculated the antiderivative, that is now gone. And you are now writing evaluate 0 to 5. And we have a 1/5 in front, right? We have an extended pager. Okay, evaluate. Zero goes with that. That's not 20. It would be 10. And we get 1/5 of 15, which is, woo, look at that, same answer. It's amazing.
Wow.
You just given two different starting points. To recognize your start point, pull the trigger on the correct calculation. Now, could you have, and I derived that, t squared minus 2t, and used the slope formula?
Yeah.
Yeah, you could have. That's exactly what this does, actually. If you notice. This just does the work for you. So, they give you the same answer. Just make sure your starting point, that you know where you're at. Okay. Questions there? That's interesting.
Explosion
Let's look at it. We want to look at this a little bit graphically, just to see what it looks like. Calculate the average value of sine x from 0 to pi. What does sine x look like from 0 to pi? Just from 0 to pi. Right? And then if we wanted to go to 2 pi, it would continue. Okay. What is this actually calculating? No. So you're given a function, you're asked for the average value. That's a y coordinate. So what's the average y coordinate of that function? Okay. This question is asking, if I took all of these points, the y coordinate of all of them, and I averaged them, what would I get? Okay, this is the average of the y coordinates. but it's the same calculation as the one we just looked at. So if you see average value, this is one other way to interpret it, right? I should put y coordinates. Insert. What is the formula? 1 over pi minus 0, 0 to pi, 9x. I'm pretty sure, I'd have to go look again, that nobody put that on the end of their integrals on one of the free responses. Don't forget to close your integral with a dx or a dt. It probably will not affect your answer points, but it might. Okay. And derivative of sine, cosine, evaluated from 0 to pi, 1 over pi alpha. And here goes the unit circle. What is cosine of pi? -1. The opposite of that is 1.
Oh, what did I tell you? What did I tell you?
Minus, and then cosine of 0. 1. The opposite of that, -1, but the opposite of that is, you get 2 over pi. Okay. 2 divided by pi. Anybody know the decimal? Do you have a calculator?
No.
Take pi divided by 2. Nobody has one? Man. Alright. So somewhere in here, 2 over pi. So 2 divided by 3.14 is approximately 0.6. So somewhere in there is the average value of that function. So if you took all those y values, the infinite number of them, and averaged them up, that's your average y value.
Told you.
0.63.
Close enough.
What did you say it was?
0.6-ish.
Wow.
You bet. So there's another way to calculate that. Do you want to know how I did it? It's really not that complicated.
Like it's one.
Yeah, it's basically 2 over 3, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so okay, is true. The bottom number is bigger, right? So I'm going to reduce that just a little bit. Take a stab at it. Okay, so this is bigger, which means a smaller number, which means I'm going to reduce that just a touch. Now I just reduced it a little bit too much, but that's the thinking that I use going into some of those approximations. Most of the time they're good enough. Okay. Average value theorem.
Doesn't seem too bad.
Nope. But you put it in the middle of all of that,
Yeah, that seems bad.
it can get a little bit muddy. Okay, so just know if you're given a function and you're asked for the average value of that function, average value theorem. That's the key. Okay.
Okay.
Y'all are tired. So I'm gonna give you some stuff to do tonight to keep you up till midnight.
Yeah, nothing.
Yeah, no thanks is right. We will start by looking at some AP problems tomorrow with this in it.
I slowly write on my hands.
Do it.
I don't have a pen.
Use it on my finger.
So what, okay, I'm gonna take this off. It's a free response, because I don't think most of you have been doing it. When I pick your papers up, if there's a free response on it, most of them haven't been done. Okay, so if you want to try AP 4FR1, have at it, but I'm not going to require it. Now, the caveat there being, don't stay up till midnight, get some rest, because you're tired. Oh, I'll say this, you have 3 weeks till break, we figured that out.
Yep.
For me, it's usually the most tired part of the year. I usually see my students in that same, with that same problem, so mentally try to stay locked in, but at the same time try to get some rest.
How close are we
I'm not playing any of these.
We will probably finish all of our new learning the week after spring break. Ish, depends on if we take a day to practice or something. I am gonna be gone 3 days before spring break. So next Thursday, and then for winter camping 2 more days, so we've had a lot of practice days there. It might slow us down. The math extravaganza is next Thursday. And then our winter survival training. I'm kind of the expert, so I have to go. But that's 2 days, so 2 weeks from today. Should be a good time.